Welcome guys to a quick update on our Multicade software that we have made available now. This is a new set of options. Up until now we've been offering only Raspberry Pi options, and those were, iffy to say the least because some of the games weren't working as they should. We've actually teamed up with a company in California called RecRoomWorld Gaming. This guy is extremely well known for having very stable builds of software, and that's of course what makes these machines incredible. So what we've decided to do with him is to offer 3 different choices in terms of what people can get. One is a 1 terabyte drive for Raspberry Pi with 32,000 games. The second one is a 2 terabyte Batocera based Raspberry Pi build with over 60,000 games. And then third but not last is a mini PC, which is a Beelink SER7, very high-powered mini PC that is capable of playing all sorts of, the latest and greatest light gun games like Tomb Raider and also Time Crisis 5, things like that. And that guy runs also on Batocera, the same Linux environment that we believe is much more stable and is going to give you much less frustration moving forward when you buy one of these Multicades. So all 3 of these versions are fully plug-and-play Sinden light gun compatible, which is incredible, meaning these Sinden light guns that you are going to plug in are going to just put a white border around the entire screen, and with the artificial intelligence built into these light guns, which I will show you here in a second, it will auto-calibrate itself and make your life much easier. So all of this is done in an effort to keep frustration away. Our experience over the years has been that Windows-based units break down too often and are extremely frustrating for the user. So this here is the ticket out. Batocera, Linux-based, and also plug-and-play light gun compatible, which a lot of people are asking for these days. So let me go over this one more time with you guys. So again, everything that we're offering moving forward is, Sinden light gun compatible. Not just any Sinden light gun, but the recoil version of them. We are a reseller now for Sinden, so we can get these for you without any major delays. And as you can see here on the front, you can see there's a camera built in on the front right here on the inside. And that camera is where the artificial intelligence is going to come into play and look for that white border and auto-calibrate itself, which makes it easy. It's really nice and heavy. It has, trigger buttons here on both sides for various functions. And of course, it feels really nice in your hand. So that's going to be compatible with all the versions of the software. So the first version of the software, like I told you, it resides on a tiny 1 terabyte micro SD card. It's amazing that 1 terabyte fits on such a tiny medium. That is going to go and be plugged into a Raspberry Pi. And what you're seeing on the screen that I'm going to show you one more time here real briefly is this version currently. I'll make another video showing the larger 8 terabyte version here in a second. The second one that's available is right here. This guy, as you can see, that's the Batocera 2 terabyte version. Again, Linux based, and will double the games that you get on a Raspberry Pi, so around 60,000 games. And I'll show you what that is made of, because really most people are like, where do these 60,000 games come from? It's because it's not just all the arcade games you're getting, but you're also getting all the console games that were made over the years. By the way, all of these 3 options are going to have a powered hub, a USB hub, which is a USB 3.0 hub by a company called Atola included. This is where you plug in your light gun. You can turn these ports on and off by hand. So if you're not using your light gun, just push the button and it turns off. So real simple to use. This 2 terabyte drive is definitely going to be the medium priced solution. It's still running on Raspberry Pi, so I recommend it. But if you really want all the light gun games, you want to play everything that's available, then I recommend the high-end PC. This is called a Beelink SER7. You can look it up. It's a mini PC. It runs basically Windows, Linux, any operating system, but it is capable of playing all the latest light gun games, like your high-powered Time Crisis 5, things like Tomb Raider, that is still, like I said, over at Dave & Buster's currently. And that guy then gets connected to this beefy 8 terabyte drive that has over 100,000 games. Now, this option that I just mentioned has a RecRoomWorld 2 terabyte drive available as well. And that RecRoomWorld drive is a dual boot option. The reason we have this is because Time Crisis 5 and Tomb Raider do not run on Linux yet. They are only available under Windows. So this would be a dual boot scenario. You would boot, of course, from your main drive for any Linux games. And then when you want to play all the latest and greatest light gun games, you dual boot into this one, which is Windows-based Techno Parrot, and that will then allow you to use the light gun with all the latest and greatest. So that's kind of the idea here. 3 different choices, good choices, and also, more importantly, good support, because the support is going to come not from us, but from Retro Night Gaming directly. If you come across a game that doesn't work or something is not configured correctly, I mean, the guy has so much in terms of, manuals and, instructions and descriptions on how to use his drive. It's not even funny, but he can, take over and get you up and running in no time. So my experience with him has been great. Everybody else is raving about his services. So I would say we have something here now that you can rely on. So let's go back and show you the interface real quick, and then that takes care of this new announcement. All right, so this is the 1 terabyte version, cheapest edition with 32,000 games. Let's see if I can go up and find the all games category so I can show you. Yeah, so we're on all games, and you can see 32,289 games on the 1 terabyte drive. That's going to be about doubled with the 2 terabyte version, which most people would go with that, no questions asked. The 1 terabyte is only available because we have existing customers that have that and do not necessarily want to go to a 2 terabyte drive, so we can upgrade them easily with that mini micro SD card. But yeah, most people are going to go with the 64,000 games or the 110,000 games that are on the mini PC. So let's go through the categories real quick. There are 50 some categories on here, so I'm not going to spend much time on each one. But of course you have your arcade games, all arcade games on this particular 1 terabyte version, 2,856 games. So everything you can pretty much imagine that was in the arcade is on here. Your Burger Time, all your Donkey Kong games, your Miss Pac-Man, your Frogger, just anything that Dig Dug, etc. It's here. Now, the favorites category, of course, allows you to add favorites from any of these categories right in here. Very simple to use. You just hold the middle button at the top for 2 seconds and it adds it to favorites. And it also does the opposite. By holding it again, it removes it from favorites. Your light gun games, of course, 218 games here on the 1 terabyte version. A lot more, well, not a lot more, but up to 300 and some light gun games on the beefier mini PC that we are offering. Last played, obviously self-explanatory, arcade vertical games only. The beat 'em up games, meaning side scrollers, and you always see a preview here showing what it's all about. If you fighting games, those are things like your Street Fighter games and stuff. So if I hit in here, the middle button on the bottom, it takes you into that category, right? And you can see everything that they offer here. So preview screens like Art of Fighting shows you a preview, talks about what the game is about. Gives you the release date of the game, how many players can play the games, when was the last time you played it, and how often have you played it. So statistics up there. Remember what I told you, if you just go to any of these and you hold this button, you hold it for 2 seconds, it puts a little star right in front of it, and that means it's in favorites. I'm going to do the opposite now, hold it again, and it took the star away. So it's super easy to use. This is your back button, and by the way, everything that I'm showing you has a legend here. So it tells you exactly what these buttons are assigned to do. So you don't have to look at your manual or anything like that. It's super easy. Pinball games, those are just your normal video games, right? No haptic feedback, nothing like our Ultra VP virtual pinball machine. This is not a replacement for that. The platform games here, That's a category that is available as well with 2,200 games in that. Racing related games, shmups meaning shoot 'em ups, 1,647 shooting related games. Again, you click on that, it gives you all of those games. The 1943 games, you name it, it's all there. And you can also jump letters, you know, just going like this. It goes screen by screen. This is page up and page down. Go back. Sports related, Daphne. Now this is something new. We didn't have that before. A lot of people asked about this. This is the Dragon's Lair game and the Space Ace games. So these are like laser disc games, right? So if you look here, you can see you have Dragon's Lair 2, Dragon's Lair 1. Everybody recognizes those games, and those are now on these builds, any of the builds, even the 1 terabyte one. MAME, that's of course your original ROMs. That's the multiple arcade machine emulator. 2,500 games here. Again, everything you can imagine that was in the arcades is here. You have your Atari consoles. This is where it comes in and adds a bunch of games, because all these original consoles, 667 games from the Atari 2600 are in here. The 5200, the 7800. And see, as you go up in capacity on these drives, if you go to a 2 terabyte or the 8 terabyte, you're going to get a lot more games in these different categories, right? So the first one is pretty much all filled with everything that was released, and then the 5200 and 7800 only have a fraction of the games. So if you go to a 2 terabyte or an 8 terabyte, you're going to get more and more of these games. Links, I'm going to go quickly through these. ColecoVision, Odyssey, Intellivision, Vectrex, PC Engine, CD-ROM, Super Graphics. This is your NES, so 2,000 NES games. That's pretty much every game ever made on the NES console. Game Boy regular classic. Then you have your Super Nintendo with 1,200. Virtual Boy, Nintendo 64, 488 games. Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, Panasonic 3DO. Beat 'em up games, ports, those are like original Windows type games, you know, the Doom games and things of that nature. Atomic Wave, Sega SG-1000, Sega Master System, Mega Drive, Game Gear, Sega CD, Sega Saturn, Mega Drive 32X, Dreamcast. Pretty cool little console that I actually owned. One of the games that I love is I'm going to actually go in here and show you. It was called Crazy Taxi. So it should be here at the bottom. There it is. So you have your Crazy Taxi 1 and you have your Crazy Taxi 2 on this. And that's even on the 1 terabyte drive. So they're really not scrimping here. You have 214 games, probably more on the other versions. Naomi, Neo Geo System. That was a pretty cool platform. Neo Geo Pocket, Pocket Color. PlayStation 1. So what you do not get on the 1 terabyte version that you will get on the 2 terabyte and 8 terabyte versions is more PlayStation, like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and so on. PSP, LCD games, those little, you know, old handheld LCDs that you could get. Let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. I'm not sure if every one of them has previews. Yeah, you can see the previews of them here at the bottom. Yeah, so those guys. Collections, that's pretty neat. You go in here, you have all the different collections available. So if you're looking to just play something like the Metal Gear, the Metal Slug games, you can go in here, push on this, and it will give you every Metal Slug game ever made from every single platform, whether it's MAME, Neo Geo, and it also tells you how many players you can play on these, so it's pretty neat. Or you just want to play Sonic games, there you go. So click on that and you have all your Sonic games across all different platforms. So that's what the collections is all about. All 2-player games, 4-player games. So 4 players, in order to achieve that, since this is only a 2-player layout, you can plug in additional game controllers like game pads for player 3 and 4. So that is doable and would allow you to play 4 players then. All games, remember, we talked about that when we first started. So that's basically the wheel. That shows you everything that's on the 1 terabyte edition of this Batocera drive. Let me explain real quick before we leave what Batocera is. Batocera is actually made by a group in Spain, a bunch of guys that they came together and said, you know what, we want something more stable. We want something that runs under Linux. And when they say something, they're talking about the menu system that we're in right now, right? This is something that you can easily go in and configure everything. Your controllers, everything in here can be adjusted. Remember, if you do not want this to be accessible by people that play this machine, you can go into what they call kiosk mode. Kiosk mode will allow you to then lock this down until you decide that you're ready to go back in and configure things. That is doable and easy to do. There's a special key combination available to then unlock kiosk mode. So personally, I would always recommend go into kiosk mode once you are happy with the way the system looks. So we're going to jump back out of this. So yeah, that pretty much covers it. This was just a quick introduction on what we are now making available for our upright multicade. Keep in mind the new version of this machine that we just introduced in our shipping now does not have these screws anymore. It's countersunk, so the nice 3-inch trackball that we have is super cool. We also have LEDs right on the bottom here, underneath this, and also on the back. It's also built out of 7-layer plywood now, real wood instead of MDF. So all of this is getting better and better as time goes on. And we appreciate your interest and your business, of course. If you have any questions, you want to see the full lists of these games, of course, reach out to us or go on our website and you'll be able to find them there. And that's a wrap for our new Multicade software. Thanks, guys.